Citizen TV, the citizen's power. Citizen TV, the citizen's power. Citizen TV, the citizen's power.
The laws won't get up and fight. And so one promise I make is that I would have the political will to fight corruption. We're going to let the anti-corruption institutions work. We have the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So far, we know the history of that office. The first Special Prosecutor was virtually hounded out of office, and he had to resign. And when he resigned, he described this president as the mother serpent of corruption. And so, I mean, if the president himself, who's supposed to lead the fight against corruption, is described by his own special prosecutor as the mother serpent of corruption, then you know that we have lost the fight against corruption. Even the second special prosecutor has been hounded. Attempts have been made on his life. And the same party and government that set up the special prosecutor's office is the same administration that is attacking the special prosecutor the most and frustrating his work. When a report is made to the special prosecutor and he starts an investigation, they go and start a parallel investigation with CID and use the CID to clear the person, even when the special prosecutor has not completed his investigation. So it's obvious that, I mean, this government is rather, you know, a contributor to the corruption. We all see the Auditor General's report. After it's presented to Parliament and the Public Accounts Committee sits, if we virtually go to sleep, nothing happens. I'm advocating that we have a special process where people who are identified to have misappropriated public funds are fast-tracked and justice is done. If they are not guilty, they are absolved. If they are guilty, the sanctions that are appropriate are applied. Until we do that and have a deterrent, people are going to continue to think that public money is theirs to take or misappropriate as and when they want it. Another aspect of the fight against corruption would involve procurement. One of the worst places we find corruption is in public procurement. This government, when we're in office, made so much noise about sole sourcing. But in our time, sole sourcing was used mostly for projects that were funded by certain countries. And often when they give you a loan, they expect that a contractor from their country would be the one to do the project. Or if a particular company is the one that sourced the loan, they cannot bring the loan and you take it and give to somebody else to do. And so we did sole sourcing mainly targeted at this range of projects. But under this government, everything is sole sourced, everything. And this is the same government that was crying about sole sourcing. And so to resolve that, I said that we're going to create an independent value for money office. And so any contract above $5 million, or as may be determined by Parliament might decide that it should be lower than $5 million because we're going to legislate it. Any contract above a certain threshold must go for value for money audit to make sure that Ghanaians are getting the right value for whatever project that is being executed. I was saying, Yama entrepreneurial training. I was saying, Yama Bruno. Yama my dream said, or no supetimi a school, not on no a bien juma, no so nipa. So we must train them to also become employers instead of employees. And not an American. In Juban kitten or I will be to me the Ashase. You call Doma Hosey. A mabun bebre a poultry. And so many ubia also say a buy a per se ye bois na yenya a mabruno na almost almost pet bibi a ye na almost 8 million. And I was saying, it's so mumu. Engineer the program, my friend, Jumara Abba. You may identify 10,000 young people. Ebi obi pese or your bakery, obi pese or your poultry, obi pese or your fish farming. And you might be brave or what? And maybe no so mumu obo amon betimi aye. Because I bra your wa mu na your program be your friend Youth Enterprise Support Initiative. Lady Bakwa oba bakwa ya boano ababa wa bakwa ya boano. Ebesin there or your leading exporter of shea butter from the northern region. Or the year cosmetics, or the year creams, or the year seminar, a lot of things. Ebesin ne wafa nipa be 30 a omuye jumamano. Apart from that also, a ma omuye share butter no a auto free so she gives them employment because she pays them for the share butter that they produce. And she say ye kase obia oye school bia aban betimi afano adwuma mu. That one is an illusion. I just say about private sector na ye page private sector no na omofa enkwada no. We also said we'll launch Operation Recover All the Loot, and so we're going to do forensic audits into different funds. The All African Games, we're going to audit it, and I mean how I forgot how many athletes they were could have eaten food worth $50 million. I mean, nobody can understand, you know, a thing like this. And so we want to see how, I mean, some of the figures you hear in respect of the whole African Games are astounding. And so we're going to investigate that. We're going to go into PDS. Why did we lose $190 million American funding, you know, for our electricity and power sector? There are many scandals that have been left, you know, uninvestigated because the president is not interested in investigating them. And so we'll investigate them and we'll recover what we can of Ghanaians' money that has been misappropriated. But like I've always said, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. One of the reasons why we lose the anti-corruption fight is because we think that the corruption fight applies only to the regime that has gone out. And so we pursue our political opponents vigorously and investigate them. But then when the same things are happening in our own administration, we turn a blind eye to them. And so I've warned anybody who would end up serving my administration that if the anti-corruption institutions catch up with you, don't expect that I will come and aid you. You are on your own. And so everybody must conduct themselves in a manner that is befitting of the office that they serve in.
Voters register no buy no. And you might be ato see our register no. Na say pese about one echo year na asumdwe etra Ghana. Na e was election commission sorry eye omudwuma year. E was omohwe sa register no year. Na enyoma enye e wo register no omohwe no mu siesie ntem ansani ato aba. Nti NDC there your chairman and then one now say yebeye oyekire bebia electoral commission office will be a district office sa krodiano NDC for sa da no yebehye entade na ya demonstration akoho say ye chiro madwin say register no sorry enya ho bibi. Until on the 17th of this month, NDC is going to demonstrate in every town that has an EC office. Our chairman has announced it. NDC, you wear your t-shirt and you go and demonstrate to the EC office so that we can put pressure on them to do their job and do what they have to do in order to ensure peaceful and transparent elections.
A voters register by. You can say also register now, and you might be able to see them. Until you see a idea, bro, for an audit of the register. Ya can't, obiefi. Now register so any of the trouble.
if he says sada no duru ho ni ahwe register yie na nipa bebre ekọ police station okọ ani din ni ha yesi ko ha kọhwe se odin wo ho a okọ ani din ni ha eden na beba edi basa yo beba enti ne ka se ye hwe register ni yie na yen na yen jintum se register no afi de eye nwoma ye betimi dia ye ejuma na yen pese ni esi 2020 no be sibio yen na omo yi omo se abato krata no omo printe ene esi amanyoko bia yen nipa nkotena ho ene yi nipa baby I print abato krata ni bia na ye agents ewo ho ye print ye ene kan ni nyina yesi we na kochira we na ko dumase we na ko sunyane we na ko tamale we na ko bedu ene sansan ase ye dispatch abato krata nyina e say ya print ye ye ko ba ya obi ayira ne laptop bag ose okohwehwe okọ bebia ye print abato no ya print abato no enkrata ne biom bebre obi aka isa asemi ene se wo ye by mistake ene fa san kranta no ye kohye no nenso eda ye to aba no ye chenkrofo a no mukuta extra ballot papers sani pani na ye de omo ma police for omo ayechi omo no na omo ayanchi omo de omo timi de kogu mu ye de sani panu ma police for ebesi ne mente se obi a ye chi na okuta ballot paper ya ye ne bibi enti sani omo no ne ye ka se men si biom efi se and now make us say, and to say about to 2020, and let the Ghana for any break papa. And let the near break now, and your ma 2020 see, you know, say, Kosi bioma, mean to make us say, you been asum day. If you say, yeah, and this year, yam pesi ye besisi obia yenso yentenase ma obia nsisi ye enti yen ye be ya fa na dia asumdwe beba enso so bi eka se ono de obewia abanumu na niagana fo epese omuyi no na ono abewia sa akonwa no eno de yemfa nche nipa no
na ne wo ho ne se efri mra ndc fi aban mu ye bambo ekofom wo Ghana ha bebia obi aye complain uya momo merchanta ube huna wudifo bi a omo ye am robbers no ma beto agu so oti anye ya ne ku aka ho oko be bia yetu sika kokko a omo ye gold traders ube hwa na nkofo akoto agu omo so omo ti anye ya ne ku omo aka ho ye ma memo eli ye nuanom a omo kodija wi no more ba so omutimu no na amroba for block na ewia omusika nyina aban so ntime nya ho hwe ezu yeni se NDC na ye bambon aba na yeni se NDC ba ombebo ye ho ban se ne be ya amroba ye koso no ye be so anu ntime ka che amroba for ni nyina munjina yie ewe se MPP wa ban mu a mwenya no fo no
NDC there
It is sad that for some, even when access has been addressed, they still cannot afford health services because of our current economic situation. And let me not mince words. Things have become extremely difficult for the people of Ghana. The incomes of many households have shrunk, and they are unable to buy or get much with the meager incomes that they receive. And that is why the next NDC government that I will lead, by the grace of God, will introduce some critical social interventions to cushion the people of Ghana from the difficulties that they have endured over the past 8 years. The first is the free primary health care program. With this program, you can walk into any CHIPS compound, any health center, or polyclinic facility and receive care free of charge. It won't matter if you have a national health insurance card or not. From CHIPS compound to health centers to polyclinics, you can walk in as long as you are a citizen of Ghana and get free treatment. Ladies and gentlemen, Nananum, the next NDC.
Well, let me start first by apologizing for my voice this morning. And of course, it's been difficult the whole week. And I hope we can get through this show. Anyway, we are broadcasting live from the Osaji Fodoka Kwame Nkrumah studios of Pan-African Television, where we're bringing you the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji, live on Radio Good, live on TV on Pan-African Television, also live on social media, Pan-African Television. We are live on many affiliate stations across the country, including our very good friend Sekpele in Likpe Todome, and of course Lukusi Radio in Vegolokwati, among many others. This morning, we are discussing the issue of the lead up to the elections. So much has been talked about this week. In fact, this week was when all candidates are supposed to file their nominations. So much happened. So far, the numbers are up to 18 presidential candidates, 18 people who are interested in becoming president of this country. The EC says by Tuesday, all of the candidates will learn whether or not they will make it to the ballot paper. That just because you filed doesn't mean you'll be on the ballot paper. That decision will be made by Tuesday. You know whether or not you'll be on the ballot paper. There's also the big issue of the voters register. The NDC says what they have been given in terms of provisional register has too many errors in it. They want a forensic audit to be carried out. They had a meeting with the EC. The EC says no, but they say they will demonstrate until the EC agrees to a forensic audit. The EC held a press conference to say they are not in favor of a forensic audit. They can do the audit themselves. But the NDC says on 17th, which is next Tuesday, they'll be demonstrating. Well, we'll talk about that in our very first discussion. Then we'll move on to the issue of Galamsey. President has set up an ad hoc committee led by the Minister for National Security, Albert Kandapa. Their job is to renew the fight against Galamsey, of course, because we are talking about it now. So that is our second discussion. Then in the third issue, we are asking who is watching the city? Who is watching the city? Because it keeps going up. Question is, who is watching the Ghana cities? So that's the issues we'll be discussing this morning. And joining me in the studio to discuss it this morning, Mr. Solomon Osu is a member of the Movement for Change. Good morning.
Good morning, Sena. Yeah, good morning, teacher. Yes.
Okay, I'll come back to you at some point. We're also joined by Dr. Komna Donko, who is member of Parliament for Peru East. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you're well. In fact, it was yesterday that awards were held for state enterprises. You've always raised concerns about the state of our state enterprises. Are you happy with, have any progress been made to the point of giving them awards?
Well, I was at Kwawu, Rock City, the day before yesterday, at the opening ceremony, and I was very candid about the performance of state enterprises.
Okay.
I was very disappointed. His Excellency the President was there, so I spoke in his presence. And the challenges are surmountable, except that we lack the political willpower.
Okay.
As a people, we have discarded meritocracy. We have discarded competence. We have discarded prudent financial management. The leadership of state enterprises has become the monopoly of political apparatchiks. I don't have a problem with party people managing entities, provided they have the competence, the technical, commercial, and financial competence to do that. After all, they are Ghanaians. But we must have a process that brings out the best available to manage our state entities. State entities control 50% of the assets of the Ghanaian state. 50% of the assets of the Ghanaian state are in the hands of SOEs. And therefore, if these SOEs are mismanaged to the extent that a particular SOE has not had its accounts audited since 2017, how do you run a commercial entity, a company, this way? And therefore, we must also take a second look at exactly what we want state entities to do. Do we still need the state involved in distilling alcohol? If we must have the state involved in the distillery of alcohol, then the expectation is that some profits must come out of that endeavor to support the development effort. But when you have a state distillery registering losses for 6-7 years continuous, in an era where indigenous private distilleries are flourishing, then it sums up the whole involvement of the Ghanaian state in commerce.
Doc, you clearly have a lot to say on this issue, but we have to start the discussion with our very first topic. That's the issue of the voters register. And Doc, I'll start with you. Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Give us a moment.
He has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer.
We have all the laws. We have all the institutions, but if the political will to fight it is not there, the laws won't get up and fight. And so one promise I make is that I would have the political will to fight corruption. We're going to let the anti-corruption institutions work. We have the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So far, we know the history of that office. The first Special Prosecutor was virtually hounded out of office, and he had to resign. And when he resigned, he described this president as the mother serpent of corruption. And so, I mean, if the president himself, who's supposed to lead the fight against corruption, is described by...
Well, welcome back if you're just joining us. Like I said, I sincerely apologize for my voice. And we'll start with Dr. Kobna Donko on the matter of the voters register. Doc.
Well, it is not just the NDC's position. It ought to be the position of every concerned Ghanaian that we have a credible voter register. Unfortunately, the EC has persistently come out with what ordinarily, if I were in the academia, I would have called shoddy work.
Okay.
Shoddy because there've just been one too many errors. As an institution, the institution is, I wouldn't say permitted,
to make an error once in a while because it's human. But when the errors are persistent, you begin to wonder, like the chaos theory, whether there's a certain order in the chaos. Because of the persistence of the errors, you begin to wonder whether the errors are intentional. You begin to wonder whether there is a plan to the errors. Are they just human errors or they are calculated errors to achieve a desired objective? And this is the concern of the NDC. If an institution has persistently been error-prone, do we trust that institution to do its own audit? And that is why the NDC is saying, look, let's do a forensic audit. You appoint any of the auditing firms. Let them audit the process. Let them audit the results. If they will find out the weaknesses, whether they are deliberate or unintentional, then we can then collectively address these weaknesses. Because this country does not belong to the Electoral Commission. This country does not belong to any particular group. It belongs to all of us. And the history of elections on our continent, in our sub-region, is that elections can easily lead to major destabilization. The NDC, as a nationalist party, will not want this country to be destabilized. And therefore, let's take the corrective steps that will ensure that we all have confidence in the electoral process and particularly the electoral register, so that come 7th December or 8th December, when there's a pronouncement, those who will lose will understand that they have lost fairly, and those who will win fairly. This is the case of the NDC, simply put.
I see. Well, that's Dr. Kobina-Donko laying the case bare. I'll come to Mr. Solomon Owusu. In fact, interestingly, they also filed this week, like every other political party, but they outdoored a running mate. The running mate is none other but Kwame Osu-Danso. He hosts Good Morning Africa on Pan-African television. So I think you start on that note before moving to the matter of the register. Solomon Owusu.
Yes, let me first of all thank Mr. Alhaji for keeping up to his promise. Remember on the 25th of September 2023, when he launched the movement for change at the Movenpick Ambassador Hotel, he made a promise to the people of this country, particularly the youth of this country, that he wanted to be a transitional leader to pave way for the youth of this country to take over the affairs of this land. So many political pundits, watchers, well-wishers, our adversaries were looking up to this promise as to whether or not he would behave as a typical politician in this country who just lies without any shame. True to his words, Alan once again proved that he means business. So let me thank him for making all of us proud, for keeping up to his promise. And it is the same covenant that he is promising the people of this country he will deliver through his GTP. Let me also congratulate Kwame Osu-Danso. Remember, Elijah is part of the name. And for those of you who are not very much conversant with the Bible, Elijah was a Hebrew prophet. Elijah is ranked in the same levels with Prophet Moses. When there was corruption in the Christendom, it was Elijah that was sent to deal with the Baal. It was Elijah that looked into the skies and said, if you say, Jehovah, I am your prophet, let the fire come and consume these people. Indeed, fire fell from heaven. That was the Elijah of old. Ghana is at a crossroad. Corruption everywhere. Hopelessness everywhere. Joblessness everywhere. And this is the time that we need the Elijah of new. A young man of 40 years, Elijah Kwame Osudanso, a musician, a lawyer, a corporate person, an activist. We couldn't have gotten any better person than him. All the other political parties go around and preach that they are in for the youth, but their actions and inactions suggest otherwise. So Alan has proven once again that he's with the youth, for the youth, and will forever be with them. So congratulations to Kwame Osudanso. And some of us are going to fight day in and day out. Let me tell you, he will be the history maker in this country. Make no mistake. He will be your next vice president, and Ghana will move. Let me also thank the wife for at least providing that support. Because they say behind every successful man, there is a woman. For the wife to have agreed to have allowed the man to accept, let me thank Mrs. Danson or Amaprat for that wonderful support. And to the youth of this country, you have been crying for a voice in our political space. You no more have any reason whatsoever to vote otherwise. Because we have given you a youthful person, not just a youthful person, but a qualified youth, an accomplished youth by all standards. And we believe that already the political atmosphere is beginning to shape up. We have promised that for the first time, an independent candidate will win the elections in this country, and it will happen right. So congratulations, Kwame Osudanso. Now back to Electoral Commission. I'm very happy Doc is here, and having followed this political trajectory, is one of the few parliamentarians and politicians who always wants to behave as a professional and speak the truth. Unfortunately, our politics does not recognize much people that speak the truth. Always they want to that will come and lie. I think in this country we have developed penchant for people that lie. You always want to hear good news. I believe we must begin to have that ear for bad news as well, because life is made up of good news and bad news. So I agree with where he started off from. The truth of the matter is that the Electoral Commission's own checkered history must be the guiding principle at all material time. After the 1966 coup, one of the accusations of Kwame Nkrumah was that he was using the local government ministry to be organizing elections in this country, and it was always being rigged in his favor. Can you imagine if we were in 1966 and this election was going to be organized by the Ministry of Local Government headed by J. Mensah Kosa? How fair would that elections be? So after the 1966 coup, there was a committee that was established to look into why all these things happened. And the commission's recommendation, one of the recommendations was that the country needed an independent body to be running our elections to ensure free, fair, transparent, and honest elections. So nearing the 1969, there was an independent electoral commission that was put forward, headed by Justice V.R.A.C. Crabb, may he so rest in peace, who organized the 1969 elections and became a success. Subsequent to that, in 1971, we established the Electoral Commission of Ghana as an independent institution with the sole mandate or function of organizing free, fair, credible, honest elections. Now, the basis of any free, fair elections is the register. what is contained in the register, if it is not free, if it's not fair, if it's not credible, if it is not free from any fraud, then you are likely to have an outcome that is fair. You have a political party that is saying that we believe that the voter register that you have at the moment is full of anomalies. And not just saying it by word of mouth. They proceed by providing evidence. Mind you, we have not raised critical issues, and here I'm talking about my candidate Alhaji together with KOD, that's Kwame Usudanso, as a running mate. We have not raised critical issues with the register because the architecture of our electoral system has been skewed towards political parties. I don't know how we missed it, that there will come a time that there will be an independent candidate who is a force to reckon with. In any case, you learn from best practices. The United States of America that we learn our politics from, George Washington, was he not an independent candidate? So if you are learning, you learn the best practices. We are what we call IPAC. What is IPAC? Inter-Party Advisory Committee. So there is no room for any independent candidate's representative. And so as we speak, we have not been given any voter register for us to peruse with all the sophisticated softwares that we have to identify more. Maybe the NDC software that they are using are even a cake. Because when it comes to IT software, there is no individual contesting this election that is ahead of Alan. Absolutely. And so we are waiting for the Electoral Commission to hand over peacefully the voters register to us, and we would, as it were, go into it and identify all the problems there is to it. Now, the behavior of Jane Adokoya-Mensah together with Bosman Asare, ably supported by Apiahene, my former party member. You know, I used to be with the MVP communications team, and we were communicating with Apiahene. So the very reason why we established the independent commission called the Electoral Commission, as a result of the confusion in the 1960s, that led to our first president being overthrown, the NPP is through the back door trying to introduce it. They want NPP members to supervise national elections. That is why you have Apiahene in there. First, it was a limited registration. You register 29,000, the EC come and tell you that you registered 25,000. They are prompted, they say it was an error. We forgive because they say to err is human, as we borrowed from our brothers and sisters from the NDC. Remember the former DVLA boss, you 4 million has, God must say to err is human. Money has passed and now you have said to err is human. They say yes, we will pardon you. The same political party goes to raise an issue with DVD machines. Initial response was that it's not true. Later you come and say it's true, but it will not have any impact on the elections. Now, we had identified or gotten wind of this whole business of people collecting voter ID cards in the north, particularly Gujogu. Per the laws governing our elections, you cannot do a transfer without a person physically being present. Once again, NDC raises an issue, and Bosman Asare benevolently agrees that yes, it took place. Fortunately, we have a lawyer. They say fraud vitiates everything. The moment Bosman Asare agreed that that criminality took place, common sense, a fairness approach, the Electoral Commission was supposed to call all interested parties and tell them that look, where we have gotten to, we believe we need a forensic audit. It must not come from the National Democratic Congress, neither must it come from the Movement for Change or any other interested party. And I will be very surprised to hear any stakeholder in this election kick against this. But unfortunately, NPP is doing so. I don't know what really these parties, when they get an opportunity to be in government, what they do to the electoral register. When we were in opposition, the very songs that the NDC is singing today was our mantra. You remember when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said there were two, the electoral commission had imported people from Togo into our voter register. This
1 million people.
1 million people. This some dubious things. The electoral commission was called to do a forensic audit. What has the electoral commission got to hide? That it is running away from this. What have they got to hide? You have told us all this while that the voter register that is there is robust. R-O-B-U-S-T, robust. They say it with ease. A robust voter register has been identified that people have been transferred without their knowledge. And when you are called upon for an independent institution to do an audit, you come back and tell us that you can self-correct. What are you talking about? When we went to the Supreme Court on the election petition, why did the Supreme Court itself not do the auditing of the pin sheet but gave it to KPMG? Because they believed that you needed an independent institution to authenticate the voter register. So the Movement for Change want to use this opportunity to say that we agree with the position that has been taken by the National Democratic Congress in calling for a forensic audit. We however disagree with their mode of how they want to do it. This is a national affair. This is not an NDC affair. So if your national chairman go and declare that NDC is going on demonstration, what you have done is that you have precluded the Movement for Change members. You have silenced us. If I join the demonstration, am I an NDC member? At least you have gotten information. There is no difficulty or problem with sharing or collaborating. We are an opposition movement. You are an opposition party. So obviously we will have same characteristics. But if you go and declare through your national chairman that the NDC must march to all the offices, then you are making it your own business. Then the candidates also gets an opportunity and says, NDC members, wear your t-shirt. You have taken us out. We will be with you in spirit. Go and come. By which time we would have gotten our voters register. You haven't gotten it. They want, you know, these people, and you see, when it suits them, these two parties, when they go to IPAC, they will not even make an input that why is it that we don't have an independent candidate here. Serious matters, the MPP will intentionally introduce a Kwiadongo. And this is what they want, serious matters, deliberately. When it is at the crunch that a decision has to be taken, then Bosman Asare will beautifully call, let's hear Kwiadongo's own opinion about it. It's an arranged thing. So they want to, as it were, manipulate. But you see, look, election 2024 is an election that will define the destiny of this country. Believe you me, this country risks losing all we have. Already we have lost about 90%. I'm sure we will come to the Galamsey issue, so I'll reserve some of the comments to that. But the truth of the matter is that the behavior of Jane Adokwe Mensah together with Bosman Asare, Apiahene, and Tete, look, for a long while I haven't heard Mr. Tete speak like that. I was so saddened that you as an electoral commission, you are bold to tell the entire world that in 2020 and in 2016, in fact in 2016, we had animals and trees in our register. How can you say that, Mr. Tete? You are an elderly person, please. Please. We had animals and trees in our voter register that was compiled by you. So you decided to put trees and animals in our register. When he said it, he had a lot of microphone in front of him, TV stations, UTV, Pan Africa, and you were entertaining him.
Did he allow questions?
Somebody should have gone there to take the mic immediately. We must not allow impunity. But Tete did this and went away with it. The Electoral Commission must be told that the forensic audit will not cost them any amount of money. At least we have the UNDP that is ready to invest in this adventure. If they don't have anything to hide, it will even be in their own interest now that they are suffering credibility crisis. I've said that the last time I checked with Dr. Afarijan, he's still healthy, very strong, the brain is working 100%, still neutral. What is it? At least we give people contract extension in the public service. Is that also? Let's go and contract him for the last 3 months to come and co-chair with Jane Mensah. He will come and co-chair with Jane Mensah so that we would have a credible outcome. Listen, you have the new Patriotic Party telling you that they have 1 million ways of winning an election. The only way you can win a credible election is to work and work well. The party was voted for to provide jobs to the Trinidad youth. As we speak, it is 14.74%. This party was voted for to build our sports infrastructure. Sena, is it not interesting? Now, for the first time in a long time, I don't even remember which history book is telling me that Ghana played its matches outside the shores of this country. Now, we are not going to play our matches outside the shores of this country because we have been sanctioned by FIFA, because we have a war happening in this country, or there is any, as it were, outbreak of diseases in this country that would not permeate the hosting of a match here. But we are having to go and play our matches outside the shores of this country because we don't have any pitch fit for any international football match. Hey, but recently in Takrady, when the new Patriotic Party was launching this manifesto, go to the manifesto. Boldly, they have written, we have renovated stadia in this country, i.e. Babanyara, Accra Sports Stadium, Esipon, Tamale. You see, when you lie, CAF will expose you. We have put up 5,000-seater stadia across the length and breadth of this country. Now CAF is saying, we have heard you, we have read your manifesto. You have told us that you have all these stadia renovated. So just give us one that meets international standards so that Ghana can play there. Now it is a problem. We are having to consider Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, or Morocco. So what else? Someone sang a song and said, I need no other argument. I need no have you heard that song before? What argument do you need against that? This is an incompetent government. Now Akufo-Addo stroke Alhaji Baobia, destroying the moral fiber, destroying facilities, and then bringing shame upon this country. So Jane Mensah must behave properly within the confines. We are with you, the NDC, on this. We will, however, not join you on the demonstration. It's your demonstration as you have declared. The movement for change will go for its voter register. We would use the superior software. We will identify more and add to what you have already identified. We would then sit down and then declare a nationwide strike. And Jane Adukwe, after all, she will listen. She is only doing papa. She will listen and give the voter register to UNDP so that they do a for even there. We will still call on that independent body that we need a representative to also observe. Okay. Because in this country now, you can't trust anything. I'll end my submission.
Thank you very much. My voice at this point has given up on me. Let me welcome Beatrice Annan, who is Deputy Spokesperson for the JM campaign. and then Nia Boyanan, who is a financial analyst. Now, having listened to Solo, let me jump to Beatrice. Welcome.
Why do you introduce me Anan as a financial analyst when you know that he's an NDC member? See, this is what two people did, and they do. At the point, someone was saying that, oh, we don't even know him in the NDC. The man is an NDC member. Man, what is this? You are looking sweet, Mom.
Good, yes. The shirt I'm wearing
is
looking sweet. So, good morning to our cherished listeners and viewers. I'm very tired. We spent 11 days in the Bono and the Bono East region campaigning and preaching the messages the NDC has for the region. And we came back, and I've been doing a lot of media appearances, so I'm a bit tired. I was hoping today Sena will spare me, but I have to be here. So you know the discussion we are having is not a discussion about a party being in opposition and saying that we don't trust the EC. I've heard a lot of people say in their defense for the EC and MPP say that anytime a political party is in the position, they have issues with the EC, and we saw these things in 2016 when the MPP said that the EC was not trustworthy and all that. I want to put on record, and I want viewers to journey with me, that what the NDC is complaining about, for which reason on Tuesday we will be hitting the street in all 16 regions, is not because we are in opposition and we are trying to create disaffection for the EC. We've had, at least I'm very young, but I experienced an Afarijan Electoral Commission. I experienced Charlotte Osei's Electoral Commission. And I'm experiencing Jane Mensah, and I think that Bosman Asari is even more influential than Jane Mensah in this commission. And I'm experiencing the Jane Bosman Commission. What we are experiencing are high levels of recklessness calculated to destroy the very fabric of our democracy under the guise of negligence. You know, in the past, anytime political parties raise concerns, what the Electoral Commission did was to listen to the political parties, and then a reform is carried out. I vividly recall when, even in Afarijan's time, the MPP said that they wanted a biometric registration so that issues of duplications and triplications and quadruplication, for want of a better expression, can be dealt with. Mr. Afarijan obliged them, and any time they had raised any issues, even at IPAC, the NDC is on record to have supported the call for a free and credible election, and that is why we had a biometric registration and subsequently a biometric register. In 2016, the MPP complained about the register and said that, led by Baumia, who, is one of the loose talkers we've ever had in this country, make all sorts of baseless allegations against the EC. Then, however baseless the allegations were, in fact, they called for a forensic audit because they believed that they never believed in the 2016 register. Charlotte Osei obliged them knowing very well she had nothing to hide, the NDC never opposed that forensic audit. And so all parties were present and participated in that audit. And we went into the 2016 general election and the NDC lost and we handed over power. At the time the NPP was making the call for the forensic audit, Sena, they had no single name and single basis to say that Beatrice Anan, Solomon Owusu, or whoever was not supposed to be on the register, but is on the register. They could not provide the Electoral Commission with one such name, or that ABCD had been done with some specific details for the EC to even say that, oh, we've checked our system, it is true or it is false. All they kept doing was making very sweeping statements, like the voter register is not credible, like we don't believe in the EC, that we have basis to say that this EC will not be fair. Those were the things they were doing. And to the extent that they did not believe in the EC, in a democratic process, they had everywhere, even when the NDC challenged them and said that, what is your basis for saying that the voter register was not credible? They could not provide us with a single name. They only said people came from Togo and that Votarians were not Ghanaians enough and that they had affiliations with people in Togo, and some of the names, when you see them, they look like Togolese names, even without providing us with basis. But they were allowed to have a forensic audit because in any case, when there is a voter registration, you had all the political parties coming. It is the belief that if the elections are free and fair, there will be no fight. It is the belief that when people have trust and confidence in the EC, and so parties over the years can raise concerns. What the EC has done is to listen to the concerns, and sometimes, however unmeritorious those concerns may even appear, just do what the parties want, because integrity and confidence are premised on perception. And it is enough that the people perceive that something is wrong. If there is nothing wrong, I mean, you give the people the opportunity to satisfy themselves. And then we have traveled the path and have come to the Jane Mensah Electoral Commission. Let the record also reflect that for the past 8 years, there has not been a single electoral reform. Under President Rawlings, there were electoral reforms on the basis of call by parties. Under President Mills, there were electoral reforms. Under President Mahama, there were electoral reforms. But what we are seeing is a stagnation. The NPP believing that the tactics they used in 2016 ought to be maintained at all costs, even at the peril of the lives of the citizen, so that in the face of the mismanagement, the excruciating hardship, the many things that Ghanaians are choking on, they would not even allow Ghanaians to have the fundamental right to choose who to govern them. And that I can promise the NPP and the EC that we will resist this with every might in us, because we owe it a duty to the Ghanaian people. And President Mahama has been speaking about it, that in the 2024 elections, what happened in 2020 would not repeat itself, even at the peril of our lives. Because we cannot continue to do the things we find ourselves doing. You see, ordinarily, I want viewers and listeners everywhere to know that this is not just a call by the NDC because we are in opposition, or that we just had a mirage of mistrust for the Electoral Commission. This mistrust is founded on very solid grounds and basis. First of all, this is the only Electoral Commission which is constituted by card-bearing members of the MPP. You have Bosman Asari, who is more MPP than the cleaner at the MPP's headquarters, who has openly said that the NDC is a threat to Ghana's democracy, one of the most reckless, loose, and most useless statements any electoral commissioner worth his salt would make. Dr. Bosman Asari, I don't even know the words to use to describe him. I don't think that he even deserves to be a lecturer at Legon in the first place and not to be carried as an electoral commission. It's so disgusting. So disgusting that the NPP had to put him there to satisfy their whims and caprices because they had to remove Charlotte Osei, who will not succumb to any political party's pressure. Then they brought in Etiahini, is it Apiahini or Etiahini, solo school communicator until he joins the alliance, who is a known MPP communicator, like I'm wearing my beautiful NDC shirt today. I qualified to be an EC in the past. I mean the future. I qualified to be an EC.
And now who's president? They will be appointed.
No, it is the levels of lowness that our country has descended to. In very recent times, they are adding either wives of party people, children of party people, or some way, somehow, it just has to be an MPP person. When you hear the Electoral Commission speak, sometimes you ask whether they sleep on pillow. In the 2 days ago, when they held the press conference, listen to what the man who was in charge of the elections at the time was telling us that, oh, in the 2016 register, there were animals and plants on the register. My goodness. I'm sitting on Uncle Kwesi Pratt's chair. Maybe I should be using some of his expression. Who did this to us? I mean, are those people, are they sound mentally? And the MPP are happy, not thinking of how stupid that statement is, that Nanado was elected by plants and animals. My mother would say, you think you are doing me. You are doing yourself. And so, the first basis is the fact that they have appointed MPP people into the commission. And so they are there not thinking as right-thinking members of society. They are thinking like party foot soldiers. What can we do? What can we do to maintain our party? The second basis is that this EC started long ago to aid the NPP to rig the 2024 election. They deliberately gave out biometric registration kits to people to engage in illegal registration. They thought the NDC would not have any intel. The moment the NDC said that, there are biometric registrations which are in the hands of individuals which are being used in ways that has the potential to compromise the integrity of the voter register. James Adukwe Mensah and Bosman Asari said never. That the EC itself has a very robust system. I mean, the most abused words by this EC is robust. Perhaps they should find other synonyms. We have a very robust system, and that nobody could ever do that. The NDC was just being paranoid, and the NDC was just doing this, and they came out, Kweku Sibro, with all the grammatical errors he could manage, was on air saying everything he could say. And then we presented them with the evidence. What did the EC say? Oh, maybe they were stolen. I'm sure that we will investigate and find out. Oh, we have reported the matter to the police. Now the NDC was vindicated. So that is the second thing. Now the third thing is that we started asking for the provisional register way before. They said, oh, we have a time frame within which we will supply it. And you know what they did? If the voter exhibition was to be conducted tomorrow, they gave us the provisional register in the afternoon, late afternoon today, believing that the NDC would not see, because even the exhibition was to take just 3 days or 4 days. I think 3 days or so. So by the afternoon, they gave to us. And the fact that many people would not go and check during the exhibition, I mean, they were likely to get away with it. So what did they do? They started the exhibition. And let me say that the voter register they gave to the NDC officially was fundamentally different from the voter register they were exhibiting. So that was the first basis. That they gave the NDC something, and they gave another register to their regional officers and all the district officers to exhibit, in the hope that the NDC will not see, or that even if you see, what will be your basis for comparison? Would it be the voter register as was given to you by the EC, or the voter register as is being exhibited? But you see, this EC, we are following them like something. All the meetings they've been having, all the things they've been doing, we have an eagle eye on the EC. It is the reason sometimes they get so shocked how the NDC was doing this and discovering this. Now, we use a very sophisticated software to audit what the voter register as was given to us and as was being exhibited. Even before we could complete, we realized that, first of all, in Tamale, about 38 people had been transferred to Pusiga. If you know the distance between Tamale and Pusiga, there was no way you would even go and vote in the morning. And how would you even know that if your vote or if your name is not in Tamale? It was not anywhere in the northern region, but you have to go to another region. When we raised it, initially we told them that this is what was happening. The EC said, it is never true. Our system, then again, abusing the word, is so robust that nobody could do this, and that by law, you could only transfer a voter if that voter was present. I have done a voter transfer before. You must go to the EC and be physically present and be captured, because the law anticipated that you will have very dishonest people like J. Mensa and Bossman who will sit in the comfort of their offices and just look at people they don't like and will take Mr. Honorable Donko from Pru East and then bring them to my constituency, Kruwo. And so you ought to be physically present. The 38 people that were transferred from Tamale South to Pusiga did not say that they wanted their voter transferred. When we raised it, Bossman Asari said, it is not true. They thought you were just saying something because the NPP is used to making sweeping statements. Then we provided them with the specific list. Then they said that, oh, then it is only the 38. Oh, then we are correcting it, 38. The joke of it. As if we are kids, as if we are children, as if the EC thinks that we are all as dumb as they are, for want of a better expression. Because I cannot for my life think about why the EC will give this response to us. First, they say it is not true. The NDC could not have detected that. You know why? Because the essence of a voter exhibition is not to detect the irregularities that the NDC has detected. And I'll go through with us the various irregularities we've detected. The essence is for you to just see whether, first of all, your name is on the register. Secondly, whether your details have been captured rightly. So if my name is, my official name is Bishis Ananfiu, it's not hyphenated. Some people write and hyphenate it. And so the voter register or exhibition will afford me the opportunity to see whether my name has been spelled correctly, whether my date of birth has been captured rightly and all that. And if there is any issue, I will just give it. There is no way any political party in the past has used the voter exhibition to detect the errors we have detected. And so this should tell every Ghanaian and the EC that the mistakes of 2020 will not repeat itself in 2024. So when we went to the EC, they were wondering, because they themselves knew that my mere exhibition, you could not have detected this error. So how did you detect it? The NDC showed the EC our methodology. We explained to them how we detected this, so that they will know that we are not sleeping, so that they will know that the kind of rigging and machination they did in 2020, we have an eagle eye on them. Again, the EC had deliberately deleted the names of people who have legally registered. About 3,957 people's names have been completely excluded or deleted from the register for no fault of theirs. It is not the case that the people had done double registration. These were people who voted in 2020, but for some reason, in very specific places, they have deleted names of people. And when we tallied, it brought us to 3,957 people. The EC said, oh, it must have been an oversight. Then we were transferring the data from 2020 to 2024, and we probably made a mistake and we deleted it. Another cock and bull story. So we have identified 3,957. How many more have been deleted? That's because now the EC has two source voter register. The one they gave to the NDC, the one they exhibited. So where is the third source? Could there be a fifth source? Could there be a 10th source? Then the EC also, out of the list, 2,094 were names that have been transferred, but those names are not on the absent list. So this is how we do it. If you live in, let's say, Tamale South, and then you transfer your vote from Tamale South to Tesano here where we find ourselves, what we do is that in Tamale South, because you have transferred your vote from that place, they must have what we call the absent list, so that on the day of voting, you can't go back to Tamale South and vote. And all the political parties have that list, so that we know that Beatrice transferred her vote from Tamale South to Tesano. So Beatrice cannot vote in Tamale South. So we have that absent list. And even at the time of tallying the pink sheet, we will use that absence list to determine the total number of people eligible to vote or otherwise. Because we have to subtract the absent list from the total number of voters. So you had the EC saying that 2,094 people have transferred their votes. But this absent list we will use to check whether the person has indeed transferred the votes, and for which reason will go into the total number of votes. These names are not there. Now they are saying that, and you know the worst one, over 243,000 votes which were transferred in 2020 have now been added to the 2023 transfer list. So it's not like double pardon over 240. So as we speak, we cannot tell the total number of people who transferred their votes at the last transfer. We cannot tell. Then you have 15,000 people who have been captured as transferring their votes. But we don't know where the EC transferred their votes to. So on the day of voting, you go to Odio and you'll be told that, oh no, we don't have your name here because it's been transferred. And yet we don't know where you have been transferred to, so that if you can't find your name in Odio, you know that, okay, then I have to vote in Nungwa. Let me pick a card to Nungwa and go and vote. We can't find. In any case, who asked the EC to transfer names of people who were not present? And so the NDC is giving you solid basis. And this morning when I was coming, I was listening to the EC's boss, one of the EC's boss. I've forgotten his name. Let me see if I can. He has some funny name. I've forgotten the name. His argument that he was making, and I was like, God, what is happening to our country? Where can this happen? Where can this happen is that for all the things the NDC was complaining about, the reason, so they admitted that everything the NDC said is true. That indeed they had even taken steps to correct the errors the NDC is complaining about. But all the things we have said, the reason it occurred is that they didn't have something they called the live test or lively test or something. That was a software that ought to make sure that at the time people were transferring their votes, they were really present in person. But after the NDC audited the register itself and came up with all these things, oh, they have gone to procure the software. Hey, people need to be caned in this country, eh? People practically, like literally and metaphorically, have to be caned. So now that you have gone to procure a software whose function would have been to detect people at the time of the transfer, and the transfer is over, and you've now gone to procure it, what should we do with the software? Or it is to make us feel better that, oh, we didn't have the software at the time we were doing the gerrymandering. Oh, but now we bought the software, so what should we use the software for?
Please wrap up for me.
The point is that the EC will not succeed this time around. The mistakes of 2020 will not repeat itself. And I can assure every Ghanaian who wants to vote for the NDC to be more than ever confident that the NDC this time will protect your vote. That the NDC this time will not sacrifice the sacred will of the people on the altar of peace, for there can be no peace without justice. It has never happened anywhere that a group of people will be subjected to injustices and say that in the name of peace. As we speak, the UNDP is willing to fund the audit. So the government of Ghana cannot say that they do not have money to carry out the audits the NDC is asking for. The EC cannot say that they are so independent as to rig the mandates of the people, and so they will not subject themselves to audit. And let me say that come Tuesday, the journey to having a very free, fair, and credible election is starting in all 16 regions across this country. The NDC is embarking on a demonstration calculated to telling everybody, including the international community, that whatever happens in this country, the NDC has done everything democratically possible, including the advocacy as I'm doing this morning, and as all others have joined in doing, The NDC has exercised its right to demonstrate and to register its displeasure about how a young democracy is being toyed with. And if the EC decides that they will not listen, that they will not respect the tenets of the Constitution, that they will not listen to all voices of reasoning, then nobody can blame the NDC. Because you would have been very responsible, and the NDC has demonstrated a lot of responsibility in the past. The NPP must know that they are only clutching onto straws. The BNI, or now NIB, has conducted their own polls. They have told the NPP they are losing the election, which polls we all have access to. They are not just losing the presidential, they are losing the parliamentary as well. Info Analytics is telling them that they are losing EIU, which has never got any predictions wrong when it comes to our election from 1992, has told the NPP they are losing. But you see, it's not even about the polls and the books. When Dr. Bawumia goes to the ground and does his campaign, he sees very well that they are losing. In recent times, he was in the shrine where they were pouring whether blood or whatever on his leg, and all of a sudden he doesn't believe in Islam and he's gone to this thing. Sure. Even there, he knows that they are losing the election. And so no amount of machination and gerrymandering, but in the first place, we will not even allow it to happen. And we will follow them even to the day of election. And so I want all Ghanaians to rally behind the NDC, including the Alliance for Change. Everybody should rally behind the NDC together with one voice, and let's tell the NPP that you cannot come to power and make the lives of the citizens worse. You cannot come to power and loot our land. This morning I was listening to Okujato and how presidential and politically exposed persons have grabbed all the lands. Now they are on the trade fair lands. Okay. You cannot come to power and dissipate our resources and say that I will not allow the people to choose their government. That we will resist with all our might and with all our will.
Thank you very much. This morning I clearly overestimated my voice. I'm struggling now. Let's move to the auditor, Nia Boyanani. What do you think?
Yes, before I proceed, let me also congratulate KOD. I think there is a cabal within the cabal. Because I heard of it quite recent. I think a day or two after it was announced. Yeah. Yet we were very good friends. and Solo knows what it means. but I want to say congratulations to him. I hope and pray he does a good job when the position is given. And I know him, so I expect the best from him. I see the finger of Solo everywhere in this thing, but we will proceed. Let me do something. In 1992, the Emory University of Atlanta were part of the observer missions, and these were their comments in the reports they generated after the elections. And permit me to read. The absence of a reliable and consistent procedure for identifying eligible voters led to allegations of impersonation or the disqualification of those voters. Some potential voters were turned away because they could not state their addresses or their names in ways that correspond to what appeared on the register. Although In these cases, the voter were asked to check for their names in other polling stations. It was not clear to our observers how many eventually were able to find their names elsewhere. Voters turned away from one polling station may have faced a long wait on other queues. This was especially true in the urban areas. A related problem was the question of verifying whether a person was old enough to vote. So, since 1992, we've been grappling with issues of people not finding their names, probably at places where they had registered, and having to be sent away to other polling stations to find their name on election day. From 1992 to 2024, how many years? And the question I will ask is, have we developed? Have we evolved? Have we seen progress in terms of even the elections we organized every 4 years? How many 4 years have we come since 1992? But what really is the problem? Some few years back, almost 8 years back, we had an organization that was so vociferous. They come out with all the verve. Let my vote count. There were concerns. They had a lot of concerns about the register and this and that. They were perusing everything. They were checking everything. Where are they? Now they have food in their mouths and they cannot speak. Is that the case? Yes, I think so. Why is it that when we are in power, we see nothing wrong consistently over the years? We see nothing wrong about the register. We are eager and we are so keen on the register only when we are in opposition. As a country, aren't we doing a great disservice to ourselves? That's, for me, pass as the EC being partisan. So I don't care whether you tell me it was a Farijan there or Jane Mensah there today. If we have to be honest to ourselves as citizens of this nation, then let us speak truth to ourselves. Let's have a very honest conversation about the EC. Akufo-Addo threatening the EC today is in love with the EC. I see an institution. I don't see an individual called Jane Mensah or whoever. Are we saying that the individuals there ride so high than the processes and procedures laid down for several years, the historical knowledge acquired over the years by various directors, administrators of the EC, all of a sudden vanishes because one lady, one fine lady, has been put as the head of the EC, Is that what we are telling ourselves? Have we put the financial aspect of this register into perspective? Let's go back and check how much we have spent anytime we want to reorganize this register. And if in 1992, the problems we had, the challenges we faced in 1992 are the same challenges we are facing in the year 2024, then I think that as a people, we are not progressing. We have not evolved. And that can't just be right. That is too insulting for you and I to find ourselves as part of what is going on. Look, someone will say elections are won at the polling station. Trust me, elections are won by those who can do their maths well. When somebody is doing his maths well, unfortunately for them, knowledge does not belong to one person, or it doesn't live in one man's house. In my constituency, I asked, why won't you go and sit at the EC office and every day insist that I get the ins and the outs in terms of transfers? I was told, oh, as for the transfers, you are not allowed to come and observe. I said, what? If the person has to come with his ID card physically, that belongs to another polling station in another jurisdiction, to say that I want to transfer my vote, then physically I should be there to observe him. But we allowed that to go. And I keep raising it, and nobody could listen. And you know what? The out transfers in Ododo alone is 5,000. And it is coming from the strongholds of the NDC. So someone is doing his maths well. What I hate is firefighting. I feel cheated if I have to go and firefight something. But in all this, why should we even go through all this? Why should we do that? Why should we go through all this? When I heard my brother Solo saying that they have superiority in terms of software, why should we go through all this? The EC should even be able to conduct all this without even our presence as political parties. If we all believe the EC is credible enough, but we all don't trust and believe that the EC is credible enough. And why should that happen? Well, the call for forensic audit. When you tell any auditor that you want to have a forensic audit, then one, you suspect fraud. Forensic audit is not like ordinary audits, where the intention is not to find fault. And when you say forensic audit, then you want to find fraud. Are we looking for fraud? if we are looking for fraud, then we might as well look for the perpetrators of the fraud. Because I don't see any way an auditor will go and look for just the fraud and not look for the fraudster. Which means somebody must be punished for this. Have we proven a point that there has been fraud? Yes. If I have not physically presented myself as the law requires, as the process and procedures requires, for me to transfer my vote from one point to the other, yet I get transferred, then of course fraud has been perpetrated. And please, let us stop this bangling around with softwares and all that. Please, it doesn't help. It casts us in a certain, light, as if we are ignorant and all that. Every software has its codings. There are limitations within every software. There is what you can do and what you cannot do within softwares. And therefore, we should not behave as if the software is some Solomon Usu sitting somewhere where he wakes up today and he feels he wants to eat fufu. So he go drive and then go and eat fufu. That's not how softwares work. And if the softwares are actually certified ISO 27001, it means that they are well closed from even the back end, that nobody can manipulate it. And if you have to manipulate it, there should be an audit trail on that. So in a forensic audit, we should have access to the audit trail. Who actually gave what command? And those people should be found out and punished. If not, another 4 years will come, and you will invite me to come and sit here and talk about this same matter. Just imagine if I was a panelist since 1992. Every 4 years, it means we would have to come and discuss this same issue here. Now, I presuppose somebody is watching in another jurisdiction who is not party to anything in this country and is in a little civilized nation. What will he call us, all of us? Not to use the proper word I intend to use. He will say we are all not intelligent. If we are still here grappling with issues as petty as this, but very vital. Very, 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 very vital. So yes, is the call for the audit a good call? Yes, it's a good call. But what do we intend to achieve with the audit? That corrections will be done, that those who have not presented themselves physically at the place will be moved out. What exactly do we expect at the end of the audit? Or we will say, this register is fraudulent, and therefore we should compile a new register. Because like I said, when you commission an audit, you should have what actually you intend to achieve with it. And in terms of forensic audit, we will have to find the fraudsters and the fraud that has been committed and make sure that it is either corrected and those involved also punished. Look, this democracy that we are toiling with every 4 years, God has been so good to us that this democracy have survived this far. And I thought that we should grow it for all Ghanaians. Because if we assume that it's going to be there, even when we are reckless, it's a lie, it's a joke. One day it will crash, and when it crashes, it will not crash only on my head, but it will also be on Solo's head. And therefore, let's all be involved in making sure it shouldn't be just the NDC going on a demonstration. And if somebody asks for a forensic audit, why should that go further to a demonstration to put pressure on the EC, who has nothing to hide? And if the EC is also not paying for the audit, then what is our problem asking for this audit? I think that we are overindulging in this political thing. And it is time we tell ourselves the truth, the honest truth, that this country is retrogressing in every direction. And it's a shame. If in Africa we are described as a beacon of democracy, and we are still talking about such petty issues. If I am President Akufo-Addo, I would be so ashamed that under my presidency, such a thing is being discussed. This is a man who sat in court for several months, right? 8 months. Pointing out anomalies to our judges and all that. And you would have thought that under his leadership, we wouldn't all be here to discuss what we are discussing. Unfortunately, I think there was, or there is 2 Akufo-Addos. The one struggling for power is different from the one in power. And that's disgraceful. To my own sister, whose house, family house, is just close to my family house in Odododiodo. Jane Mensah. No, Jane Mensah.
Aha, I am Nakado Ghana Limited. You work as well, just up hospital. You do my idea in Sassin when you money. Yes, I see dying. Yes, also yes surveying. Nature in Sassin Crata. Yes, also the infidel high. We are surveyor around. Now, baby, the age of my bar, you bring you be a mount. There was Sassi on me, baby. You will be what danger. You will be out to group. You will be what you do. You will be what akuti. Opesoni Nakado Ghana Kasa. Freya on mine so 0536 943494.
Yamakwa Baba Nakado Ghana Limited. Yaton Sase. Yesi Adan. Adan Krata. Obahan Moa. Yabeti Swamon. Yasase no Langa Diniso. Sa usika nso kra na oba ye bebo modern ni ahwew watu ya nkakrakra sempo wo ye bodwa adwuma se utopia wota wo ye de yo ne wo ye bia no behwe ne ateso ama wo se ukura usika nso sika boten nso ba nso ebehwe na ya hwe ne aye ho adwuma ma ya sase no langard ni so aha no ntokwa ye ne asase ne sa eni hanomo na se ye mo asase ne nso a ye behwe ho ahu se ubenya wo krata would be dancing or bibini about me. I am Wajuma.
Within the big mama. My daughter assassin. Me papa singing na me sakai. Assassin so the form ever Nakado company. Assassin for 4. So when was the cast of pie and mobi. Now what your kakra. And to papa na me sakai. To Obiambra. Imagine dear. Obiambra. Imagine dear. Obiambra. Imagine dear. Nakado company.
saying that we Gans, we have a name. And our names are very important as Gans. Because when your name is mentioned as a Ga, everybody knows your grandfather's house and your great-grandfather's house. And I know people within that house, very respectable people. And so we will plead that she should not bring any disgrace to that house. Because that will affect a lot of people who probably are not benefiting from anything she is enjoying. And at the end of the day, when it is all said and done, people will say she is a Ga. So as a Ga, I'm pleading to her. She should do the right thing. That, oh, when the Ga woman was put there, she messed us up. It shouldn't be said of us. Because when a Ga decides to serve, they serve without taking anything. We are not corrupt. We don't engage in fraud. And we are brought up uprightly because of our names. Because whatever you do, your home will be traced. And the shame will not come on you alone, but onto you and your entire family. And that is what she should think about.
My voice sounds fantastic. When my mouth is full, pure rubbish anyway. But we have to move on to the topic of Galamsey and Doc. I'd like you to start that topic for me because you said you have something to say about.
He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer.
Join us on Talk Time for great conversations on Africa's political and socio-economic struggle and how this positively impacts its people. The show brings out the different dimensions of local and international issues. Talk Time with Kwesi Pratt Jr. airs on Saturdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 8 p.m. only on Pan-African Television. Pan-African Television, truly African.
I've been off air all this while, so Doc, you have to start for me again. Doc has started on the note of Galamsey. Actually, he had something to say about the previous topic. Please say that and move on to Galamsey for me.
Thank you. I hope I'm on air this time.
Yes, you are. You are, Doc. You are clear.
I'm saying that for 42 years, people like me and some people of our generation have believed in Ghana, believed in the ability of the Ghanaian to develop Ghana. Probably we were the last crop of young pioneers. And so that spirit of self-belief as a people, of nationalism, of patriotism, of the African assertiveness was inculcated in us. And we might look like fools, but I still believe it is only the Ghanaian that can salvage Ghana. Not just salvage, but develop Ghana. God is down with us. He's given us all the resources we need to do to develop our country. God is done with us in terms of resource endowment. Our failure is our peculiar failure. And for that reason, I sit in Parliament. Jokingly, I hear my MPP friends, and I have friends across board, and I have been chastised, I've suffered for having friends across board. It doesn't matter. I will still do it. Because essentially, we are one people with a common destiny. If there is a Holocaust in Ghana today, there won't be NDC Holocaust and MPP. We all will sink together. And that is why it is important for all Ghanaians, irrespective of tribe, ethnicity, irrespective of political affiliation, irrespective of gender, irrespective of class. It is imperative that we work together to establish a democracy that will serve us well. My brother was talking about their house, their Ghana background and Ghana house. I also tell you that, you see, the advantage Mensa has is that she's also an Ebe. So she represents the type of Ghana we want to see. A Ghana of ethnicities coexisting and living together. Increasingly, it's becoming difficult to find a Ghanaian who is one tribe. In fact, 3 generations from us, tribe will die out or will die down because of the intermarriages. You don't know what your grandchildren will be. Your daughter may not marry a Ga. Your daughter will marry a Guan, a Chuburu like me. And so we should be extremely careful. So when MPP MPs jokingly say, oh, as for 2024 election, we will win by strategy. We will win by strategy. And it's an open thing they say, jokingly. And that is what informs our worry about the behavior of the EC. You've already been foretold to win by strategy. Not necessarily by the number of people who vote for us, but by strategy. And we are seeing the installments, various installments of this in the behavior of the EC, whether deliberately or erroneously. And therefore, it is not just the NDC that must be vigilant. Yes, we are the dominant opposition party of record. But a broken Ghana affects every single person, including those who say they are apolitical. And therefore, I will be in Tichiman, my regional capital, to demonstrate. Not because I'm the Cobra in Julius Caesar, who when asked why he was during demonstrations said, oh, he was helping people to wear out their shoes so that they will bring the shoes to him as the Cobra. But I would demonstrate, go on demonstration to express my angst at what the EC is attempting to do, whether deliberately or not. Out of respect. But the most important thing, and I agree with my brother, that what is it about us that we are unwilling or unable to develop systems? If our approach to management was based on a systems methodology, then the most important things will be collectively agreeing and developing systems and enhancing systems to meet emerging challenges. Because the operating environment is not static, and therefore change is the only constant in management. So in managing our electoral processes, an audit is the baseline. There have been allegations that are no longer mere allegations, backed by data that you have conceded. So let's do an audit and find out the shortcomings of the system. Because let me tell you, 2024 election is an election like no other election. This country would either move forward or melt down on the back of 2024. The challenges we know are there. Whoever inherits the outcome of 2024 will face major challenges. Major. Look, in the energy sector alone, we owe the power sector, not even the energy sector, the power subsector alone, there's an indebtedness of about $2 billion. The petroleum sector has its own. So whoever emerges will have such great challenges. But if the election is credible, if the election is fair and free, and then a new government emerges, there is going to be some goodwill for us to face the onslaught together. But if this election results in disintegration of the nation state, our generation and the generation after us would have failed the Ghanaian people, not just the living, but the unborn and the dead, the founding fathers who shared their blood. So that is how serious this election is. Okay. Having said that, one of the major issues we have today is illegal mining. I'm using illegal mining to make a distinction between legal mining and illegal mining. On the legal side, we have the big mines, the commercial, and then we have the small scale mines on the legal side. However, the challenge has been regulatory failure. And as I've stated, one of the major fault lines of this country is the failure of regulators and regulatory bodies. Fortunately, I've had the experience of being a regulator. I was the founding chief executive of the Petroleum Commission. And so I have been a regulator. And I understand the art and science of regulation. When you see a regulator who is loved, you've seen failure. When you see a regulator who is loved, or a regulator that is loved, you've seen failure. Don't go searching for failure anywhere. Because the instincts of the human species, especially in the economic space, is to make the most irrespective of the risk to the environment and to society. And so the regulator is there to check people. So if you take small-scale mining, and I'm one of the longest-serving members on the Parliamentary Committee on Mines and Energy. I was kicked out only about a month ago.
Oh. By your party?
No. I was kicked out. Of course, they said, look, I have too much experience in that area. I need not be on the committee to speak on the issues of mining or on energy.
No, that's serious.
Yes, so...
It's a serious matter.
What the challenge has been regulatory failure. Regulatory failure compounded by impunity from the ruling class. You see, if you are given 25 acres as a small-scale mine, immediately you step 1 foot out of the 25 acre, it becomes illegal. You've broken the law. And I can tell you on authority that 90% of our legal small-scale miners are mining illegally because they have broken the law. They've moved out of the confines of that 25-acre concession. And once you step out, you become illegal. Who is there to stop such breaches or punish such breaches when they occur? It's the Minerals Commission, first and foremost. But the Minerals Commission is not the only regulator involved in the mining space. The Environmental Protection Agency is the second regulator. Mining must not destroy the environment. And that is why in a number of, all the extractive industries, apart from the regular regulatory body, you also need permits from the Environmental Protection Agency. So we have 2 regulatory bodies at the minimum to ensure that we do this right. All the laws on small-scale mining, including even big-scale mining, all the laws have been broken. In fact, the laws are noticed more by their breach than by their adherence. And as a people, we have either gone to sleep, majority of the people have gone to sleep on this, minority of the people in power are benefiting from the breaches of the various laws. And so it is not in their interest. And that is why when I heard that His Excellency the President has formed another ministerial team, this time a 5-man led by National Security, I told myself, when will we ever learn? When will we ever learn from our past? We consistently refuse to learn the lessons of our own history. We are not even talking of best practice elsewhere, and there's best practice. There are other jurisdictions with small-scale mining. Under no circumstances, learning from our history, must we license small-scale mining around any water body. Under no circumstance. Under no circumstance must we do this in forest reserve. But forest reserve seems to have become the sole property of people in government or people with connections to people in government in terms of illegal mining. Name them regional chairmen, sitting MPs, police officers, parliamentary candidates, ministers and deputy ministers have been involved in small-scale mining. And the movement from small-scale mine, legal small-scale mine, to illegal one is such a sloppy one. So sloppy that in my estimation, 80 to 90% of all legal small-scale mining has become illegal. And that is why I talk about regulatory failure. We must empower the Minerals Commission. We must give them the resources. We must get the right people with the right regulatory mindset to lead and work at the Minerals Commission. The regulatory mindset, the first instant is no. Let them convince you why it should be approved. It's a whole craft. Regulation is a craft. It's not just the implementation of law. It is a craft. But our success depends on the availability of political willpower not just by politicians, not just by the president, but even though more especially by the president, but also by civil society, by our value system. Today, my biggest fear is that galamseyers are increasingly determining who goes to parliament.
Even become a president.
Increasingly, because of the availability of, for lack of a better expression, illicit money arising out of galamsey. They influence both parties, our primaries. They sponsor again candidates and sponsor the failure of others. So galamsey is not just an economic issue. It's eating deep into our body fabric. It's eating into the soul of Ghana and the Ghanaian polity. And so we cannot, if we continue on the present trajectory for the next 4 years, forget about Ghana. Ghana will become a failed state. On the back of galamsey alone, it's polluted even our morals. It's thrown easy money. Don't talk about polluting the environment. That virtually the environment is dead. And my biggest fear is that increasingly new, especially gold resources are being discovered across the whole country. In fact, the next big boom for gold mining is northern, upper east, and upper west regions. And if you add that to the destabilization in the Sahelian areas, in Talensi today, in Boko, in all the other areas, that's where in fact, the biggest two mines coming up, large-scale mines, are in upper east and upper west. Okay. So we are going to export a certain impunity, a certain illegality from the south of the country to the north. So very soon, if we do not take steps, the whole country would definitely be in the hands of galamseyers. So that is the enormity of the problem.
Okay. Thank you. Doc, thank you. Me.
This gold thing is just like the voter register. Look, we should first and foremost identify the challenge on hand. Is the challenge its effects to the environment, which we are worried about? Or is the challenge the resources belonging to government being taken by people not approved, not licensed to do so, which amounts to stealing the resources of this nation? Or is a challenge the wealth it creates among individuals? Is the challenge export proceeds that do not go through our mainstream financial system? Or is the challenge the illegal export of what is mined illegally? If we have not defined the challenge, we can never have a solution to it. Why do you seize the assets of people who are convicted for doing drugs? And when you arrest people who have engaged in galamsey, you claim to have burned or seized their excavators. I think both deserve similar punishment. And the law should be made fair. Gold is hard money. Meaning it's a currency. And it is always in demand. Because of the difficulty in actually bringing out gold from the earth. The processes you would have to go through has never been easier. No technology has made it easy. It is said that there is no time that we have produced in any year 2% of the stockpile of gold. What it means is that whatever gold sits in the reserves of all these banks, the world is not able to produce more than 2% of the stockpile of what is there in our reserves. And that should tell you the value of gold. It is durable, it goes across space, and it is acceptable everywhere. Even the financial systems recognize it. And it can be used as mode of payments. So the question really is, the way we treat other minerals like oil, the way there is an account on oil quarterly, can we have the same on gold? Ghana took the lead in terms of the gold production in Africa. Which part of it is coming from illegal mining? And which part of it is coming from our mainstream, well-regularized mining companies? Can we be told? I think there has been some myth. The gold business have all been shrouded in some secrecy. Do you know why people took on to Bitcoin? Because if I mine Bitcoin and I have it, everybody is aware that I have that. And so you cannot steal. Unlike gold in this country, that you would have people who has gold, yet we don't know where they mine their gold from. We have people who sell gold, and we don't know the mining license they do have. Look, the chemicals that I use to catch gold, they are not chemicals I can go to any shop across the street and buy. These are regulated ones, hard to come by, because they are dangerous, harmful to the environment. How are those we call illegal miners able to get it at ease? How are they able to do it? I think we should be serious on this fight. We shouldn't wait for Ghana Journalists Association, GMA, that comes out and say, it's harmful to us, it's going to be, then we are up in arms, we are all talking about it, then within some time it all dries down, then that's it. They go back to their businesses. We've set up a committee. I think the committee also engage in the mining themselves because they want to really understand. They all became miners at the end of the day. I don't know how those being appointed now can withstand the financial benefits in that sector. I don't know. If they say every man has a price, then certainly the illegal miners will find their price and they will pay. Again, like I said, over and over we have discussed this. We have seen when there were wars in certain places and diamond was being used to finance it. Diamond from all those areas were banned. You couldn't trade in it. You couldn't sell it. Are we looking at a similar situation? Or having a similar situation here in Ghana? Right? Are we looking at that? Shouldn't those who are supposed to mine legally have people from the regulatory authorities sitting with them on a daily basis? Because the mainstream ones, I know they even have offices there on their facilities. So what of the small scale? What happens? Aside what was mentioned, the district assemblies are there. You think the district assemblies, if they are really committed, cannot fight this? Look, the reward in it is so sweet that people tend to overlook the damage it causes. And therefore, if you want to solve this, you have to take away the reward. People without license come to Ghana and buy gold and take it away. How are they able to do it? You want to solve this? Solve it from exit points. Make it difficult to the extent that it will not be rewarding to engage in it. That is the best way of solving this. This interministerial whatever, what are they going to learn? You know, Honorable Kendapa belonged to the same alumni I belong to. That is the PKF alumni. He is an audit mind, accountant by profession. He will go logically to issues. But I asked him, he looked at the materiality of the benefits of illegal mining of gold before accepting the job. And if his members that he presides over, including himself, might not be influenced by the sweet benefit of gold. You cannot decide to go and fight on the grounds and leave the trading and exporting of gold illegally from this country intact. You can't fight it. Because whatever price it is, they will pay for it. In this time when all currencies somewhat is suffering, inflation is a challenge almost everywhere, gold becomes the best of commodity and currency. And you want to fight it in this manner. The fight is already lost because they will not be able to do anything. Again, how much money have we pumped into this? Have we valued what we seized and we cannot find? Have we valued the properties we destroyed in the fight, including lives, the costs to the environment, the cost to the military deployment, vehicles that were put out there for all these years, and here we are again. So, like I said, it is a country of very unintelligent people if anybody is watching from afar. That's something that should be used to the benefit of this nation, to develop this nation, to shove up the currency, the weak currency called the cedi, has become the benefit of just a few. And we cannot talk about it because it benefits all sides. We are not honest about it because it benefits all sides. Look, in 2016, when the NPP came to power, the first thing they rushed to safeguard is the mining sites. And Mr. Kandapa is aware of it. Honorable Kandapa is aware of it. So how well is he going to fight this? What are we supposed to expect from this committee that has been put up? That they will bring us another voluminous report, or they will get disgruntled among themselves and one person will issue a report, and the report to do what? We must clearly understand the challenges we are facing with Galamsey to be able to solve it holistically and stop playing about the bush with this thing. If we want to stop it, let's stop it. If we don't want to solve it, voila, let's allow them to mine and destroy the environment. Because when that day comes, it will not be just you that will suffer. I will equally suffer. Solo will suffer. Beatrice will suffer. Honorable Donko will suffer. If we want to be honest about this, let's be honest. The only thing troubling the Ghanaian is honesty. We are not honest people. And that is where I will end.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dean. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Solo crowd or pit.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer.
Join us on Talk Time for great conversations on Africa's political and socio-economic struggle and how this positively impacts its people. The show brings out the different dimensions of local and international issues. Talk Time with Kwesi Pratt Jr. airs on Saturdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 8 p.m. only on Pan-African Television. Pan-African Television, truly African.
Welcome back from that break. In case you haven't heard, my voice is in very bad condition. We are discussing the issue of Galamsey, the call for a ban on mining, specifically small-scale mining in all its forms. Mr. Solomon knows who have his turn now.
Yes, if Sena's voice is bad, it is due to the Galamsey that is going on, the water that the people of this country have been drinking are all, as it were, polluted with these chemicals. So they're already showing symptoms of why we must fight against Galamsey. So that I would agree with Doc that we don't have the political will, as well as that we don't have the political will to fight this whole Galamsey menace. Because Galamsey is not something that is done in secrecy. It's an open activity that day in and day out we see the people that are involved. Each district in this country has a dissect chaired by the district chief executive. Who does the district chief executive represent? He or she represents the president of the land. So if we have all these people in these districts where Galamseys take place, and it's not being fought, that means the president is involved. And that the very day the president of the land, together with the vice, will say, we have gotten enough good. We are stopping Galamsey. I'm telling you, it will not take more than a week. Galamsey will cease. So sometimes I wonder why people that we revere in society, instead of looking straight and speaking truth, they beat about the bush. The last time this issue came up strongly, we had the Christian Council, instead of telling the president that Mr. President, stop Galamsey, they bypassed the president and went to the Galamsey site and started praying. Praying to who? We always make God suffer in this country. He has given us that knowledge, that sense, to be able to identify where sources of problems are. You know it, that is the president that is allowing. In any case, our constitution